This is the RNC. This is where we listen to Hindu prayers. That's what we do here.
Look,
Did she have a good
come
cry while
on,
she was
Taylor.
in
You
there?
didn't like the Hindu prayer at the RNC?
I'm on vacation. I didn't watch any of it, but I heard.
Oh, fuck off! I watched every minute of it. I was like, let's
Kyle's
get
been
it.
into it.
Let's get it. We're gonna bring everybody together. Could the party of the right be the Rainbow Coalition? Could we be the common sense? Everybody's welcome as long as you've got some common sense party. Oh, please, God. And then I see people like, what's this demonic Hindu shit? And I'm like, fuck! We were this close.
Nick Fuentes is furious.
Well, you
about
got the
JD
extreme-
Vance or in general?
You know how
Well,
that works.
about his wife and about like they got like more minority representation in the RNC this year for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the white
JD
nationalism
Vance.
shit at all. Like my thoughts on that is like there's only a I don't think of myself as a Republican, by the way, just so we're clear. I definitely lean conservative. Although we took that political test, we all did, and we're all like left of center quite a bit, like a deviation. And but there's a few common sense things that irk me, and like some national defense stuff, some economic stuff, and the cultural stuff on the left turns me off so much, you know, in certain places of it. I'm like, I feel like I'm a liberal socially. I really do. But then like I see some of the wilder stuff and I'm like, man, that seems evil to me. It seems like maybe that's genuine evil. I don't know. I'm going to have to go with Trump on this one. And I feel like if we could bring plenty of brown people and black people over to that way of thinking. There's enough people. They just need good ideas and to stop with the racism. What? Stop with the racism. Let it go. I always say like I wish you could talk to that crowd and be like, I know we got our prejudices, you know, like you like the people in your town, you like the people from your state, you like the people from your country. But imagine if a green motherfucker landed in Kansas. You don't think the Russians would be over here shoulder to shoulder with us, killing green motherfuckers? Like
green guys talk on their cell phone speakerphones all the time? Or do they communicate telepathically?
Worse, they believe in late-term abortion.
I don't care about that. It's mostly the cell phone on speakerphone at restaurants and stuff like that.
They do that. About. They play music. They play music.
Do they have dogs worse than pit bulls on Planet Zepton that they're bringing over?
Oh, I see
they
where
work
we're going.
out in the front yard?
Oh shit!
Dick can say that he's Mexican.
Would you you talked about the culture war stuff? Would you acknowledge that? And we could talk about left-wing rhetoric whenever you want, but like, would you acknowledge that some of the rhetoric about like left-leaning people has gotten like beyond insane? Like it's a mainstream position now.
For example,
I can give you many. It is now a mainstream position in the Republican Party to believe that the median Democratic voter believes in murdering a baby after birth. They call it a post-birth abortion. Or it is now a median Republican voter position to assume that most Democratic voters want to mutilate and sexually abuse children. Certainly all of the queer community. Like these
more
things
often than not.
More often than if we want to, if we want to get into like more wonky stuff, it's now a median right-wing position that Democratic voters want to intentionally allow millions of people into the country so we can reshape the electorate, for example, like great replacement theory kind of stuff.
I believe that.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just true.
Okay. I mean,
do you want a wall?
I don't understand how you guys like. So how does the process of an illegal immigrant like?
I gave you 2 out of 3, man.
Fair, but like, how does that actually work though? Like, if you're an illegal immigrant, like, how do you go vote?
Stay home.
Oh, you can't vote right away. First of all, I think that the presence of them changes the census in such a way that the congressional map that that in the House of Representatives they essentially get representation to some extent. So right away they get representation, which is better than a fucking vote. It's a democratic republic. After that, every time I hear about a new policy that's going to give amnesty or citizenship or a path to citizenship to a group, it's from the left. Suddenly they're like, hey guys, how would you like to be a U.S. citizen? I know you've been living here illegally for years, feeding off the system, but hey, just remember who brought you to the dance. You know what I mean?
The path to citizenship.
That's what it feels like to me.
The only conversation I hear that happening about these days is about like DACA kids.
What about the Dreamers?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The Dreamers.
Oh, okay.
We're
I
talking
didn't know they were
about
the
like
same thing.
kids that were brought. Maybe they were 4, maybe they were 8 or whatever, and their parents brought them over, and they basically have no other national identity other than being an American. If you sent them back to their home country, many of them don't even speak the same language, and this sort of thing. Like
I know a dreamer. He's a good guy, and I really hope he gets his citizenship, and because he wants to be a Trump voter. Like he's Muslim.
Shout out to Fish, good guy.
Shout out Fish and the Muslim Brotherhood, as he calls his gang of pals.
Right, but like the rhetoric
Fish is
of,
not a
like,
member of the
like,
Muslim
What
Brotherhood.
are you saying is wrong about replacing white people with immigrants? Are you saying that that's not happening,
what
or,
do you-
or that's
what do
not
you
the
ask-
plan? Which
You-
part of it are you
He's
saying is not the
asking-
plan?
I'm pushing
Don't you
back
think
against
that
the
the-
idea. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I should be quiet. He thinks the great replacement theory is real. And what about that do you find to be not real?
Right.
Dick is saying that it's real, and what about it? Do I find?
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
not
Open
real?
he's like-
borders, bringing everybody, fly 'em around the country to take over Republican strongholds. Which part of that are you saying is not true?
Because the idea that like Democrats broadly or even marginally support open borders is absurd. Like, give me one.
Oh, I don't care what the
Democratic-
average Democratic voter wants, does,
Give me
or
a
cares
politician.
for. It's
Give me a-
about
give me
it's
a-
about no, it's not about the individuals. It's about the party policy and what actually goes forward. And it's also, moreover, I think, about the judges that are put into power for these lifelong positions and them holding those beliefs and them being loyal to if those beliefs change at the party line. If suddenly on the DNC website it says, a week after birth, it's in that little box there. Technically that is a pseudo womb. So that pseudo womb is a womb now, and so yeah, you could abort it a week after. Yeah, you could do that.
The big issue with the border is our asylum laws that were written decades ago. Because our asylum laws now are written in a way that anybody can show up at a port of entry and claim asylum, and they are, if they meet a certain set of criteria, they are, given a burner phone. They're given sometimes ankle bracelets. They're set up with like sponsors in the country, and a lot of the times these court cases take anywhere between 5 and 8 years. The backlog is so intense. So, which is why the Democrats and Republicans and the White House worked on a bipartisan immigration bill. Some of the things made some Democrats happy. Some of the things made some Republicans happy. It was endorsed by the border union. They said it's not perfect, but it's way better than what we have now. It actually put limits on our asylum system. And Donald Trump stepped in, and publicly he takes credit for spiking the bill because he didn't want to give Biden a win during an election year. So it's just difficult for me to
what was
take
the limit
Republicans-
though? That's important. What was the limit on
Yeah.
that bill? How many guys a day were they? Because I think
would
it
have-
was like astronomical, the amount of people in the bill. And then once it's a law, it's a law. It's a lot harder to change.
But there's no
I would
limit
have
now.
to. I would have to go back into the specifics. I don't know what specific limits they put, but
Biden
they
imposed
did,
a
support-
limit.
they did rein it in.
2,500
But they
a day
also
or
very,
something.
very importantly,
That's a
they
lot.
also no. What they said was if you had a 7-day period where border crossings averaged 5,000 per day, if that went for 7 days, it gave 4,000. At the 4,000 threshold, the DHS could step in and shut the border down. Now, this is a divided government, so you're not going to get a bill that's going to make like 100%
That's
of Republicans
way
happy.
too many.
Can I jump in
Way
real
too
quick?
many.
It was
If I
better than
heard
the
that
status quo.
5,000 invaders were coming across the border every day, I wouldn't want to send a government agency other than the Marine Corps.
But hold on. I feel like
what are we
Huck hasn't
talking
been
about?
fully heard here, because right now it happens. So that would have immediately been triggered. Right
it's-
now, I don't know what the number is, but it's more than 5,000 a day on average.
Mhm.
But the border doesn't remain totally secured.
No,
They
Biden
were
didn't-
saying if we
Biden did an EO. He did an EO recently and dropped it down to
you're
2,000.
right. But in the
Like,
bill,
2,500, I think. but
in the
like,
bill
he lowered
was
it quite
like,
a bit.
hey, if we get too many, we lock down this heckin' border and we're done. And Trump was like, nope, spike the bill. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't want solutions.
Probably because he wanted the border shut down so nobody could just flee over with ridiculous claims of asylum from countries that are not going through wars.
He could have
Would
done
it
that
be
at any-
harder to reverse the law once it exists, or start from scratch when you become president? Which one would
He-
be harder?
He
I
just so
think it's
transparently did
probably-
it for political reasons. It had nothing
Yeah.
to do with like he didn't want to give Biden
Sure.
a win. They like this
It's crazy
bill
that the
was,
two guys who don't like Trump see it the exact same way, don't you think? It's
the
Yeah,
bill
that's
was-
wild.
It's
The
a
bill
little
was in
odd.
part the main crafter of the bill in the Senate was Lankford, who's like this giant MAGA guy. He was this Trump endorsed guy. He's not some like rhino, and
Yeah.
he proudly stood by that bill. I mean, what sort of a bill do you guys expect to see in a divided government? Like,
No,
don't
that's
you
fair.
understand? Like,
We're about to solidify
there's
it,
going
though,
be
right?
Some compromise, right?
It won't be divided next
see.
year. will
I mean,
it?
if we
We'll
were
see.
a serious country, we
first of
wouldn't
all-
allow people to invade at all.
First of all, I think that Biden is doing a bigger disservice to America, representative democracy, and our way of life than Trump ever can by what he's doing right now and like throwing this race so hard and throwing the whole ticket so hard. He is about to send us into a world where Trump has absolute power. Like he has the Supreme. He's going to have the Supreme Court, the Senate, the House, and he's going to be the goddamn president. And he might just start. He could do so many things to legally keep staying. He could do so many things to wipe people out. He really could. You know, what if he did this? And I'm just off the top of my head. What if he sets up some bullshit tribunal in Congress, his Congress, and they have a trial, and they determine that last election was stolen, that it was stolen, and that he's entitled to 4 more years because technically he's won 3 elections, and they stamp it, and it goes to the Supreme Court, and they stamp it, and Trump says, "Here we fucking go." The rest, you know what? And the end of that 4 years, what do you want? Some more Trump? And everyone's going to say, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, what does he care? If they're gonna win, it'll be by stealing and cheating anyway. So what would it matter if people are gonna vote for him or not? They flew a bunch of illegals into all the towns that were they were at risk of losing, so they could harvest their ballots and vote.
They
for
airdropped them in like red fucking dawn.
Harvest
brown dawn.
Harvest
the names.
what ballots?
They just get the ballot
What
and write the
names?
new illegal on there. There's your name. Here's some goofy signature.
That
Whoop,
is-
there you go.
I don't
There
know
you
how
go.
you do
Count it up.
elections.
Count it
I
up,
don't know
boys.
how you do elections in your state, but you can't just don't just mail you a ballot. Like you have to be registered to vote, and you can't register to vote if you're. There is no data to support. They've done multiple audits in multiple swing states.
Yeah. Safest election in history. Guys shooting at the president from the top of a building 100 feet away.
Nobody has ever established any kind of like outcome determinative voter fraud. It's never happened. Not in a single court.
You don't believe in voter fraud? You don't think there was voter
It
fraud?
has.
That's not what he said.
I said,
Hutch, I have an
outcome
example of it
determinative
happening.
voter fraud.
Yes, it happened.
You can find individual examples, sure, but when we're talking about like, oh, go ahead.
Wait a minute.
No, yeah, I don't think we're
Losing
on
all
the
the
same.
bellwether.
It happened in North
counties.
Carolina. A Republican did it actually, and
Oh,
they
right.
messed with all the mail-in voter. It's not up to debate. Like his son ratted him out.
Oh.
He got
Little
charged.
Cartman.
Right?
He
I
got
know
charged,
yeah.
but he was
yeah.
too influential, and they dropped the case, so he got away with it, and he's running now, and he's gonna win. But he did not. Basically, they didn't let him serve his term because, beyond any shadow of a doubt, he messed with the mail-in voter votes.
Crazy.
You can find individual instances of voter fraud. That's nobody contests that.
When you said individual instances, Hutch, I thought you were referring to like one person who voted twice. This
I
was
mean, like
hundreds
isolated.
of thousands of votes that were. I think
It's
they
criminal, too.
I forget the mechanics of it, but I think they removed the votes that they didn't like. You know,
That's
so-
that's less common
That
than
helps.
like than somebody, oftentimes like in Florida, for example, a lot of people voted when they didn't even realize they couldn't vote because of the law had changed, and there was like some law that went into effect having to do with convicted felons, and so there was some mix up there. But like
Mhm, mhm.
if you do a statewide audit in a state like Georgia and you find like 7 instances of voter fraud, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's
You're
obviously
right,
not
you're
enough.
right.
I agree with you.
No, they didn't
I
do
agree
an
on all
audit,
that
though. They
shit.
did a recount.
They did 3 recounts in Georgia,
Yeah.
and one of the
Yeah.
recounts
That's
was
nothing.
every single
A
vote in the
recount is
state.
not an audit.
A recount
to
is dog
Dick's
shit.
point.
Yeah. Just
A
counting the
recount
same
is just you're not
bogus
actually
ballots.
auditing.
He
it.
lost it though. Trump
Wait, hold
fucking
on.
lost, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
What are we
I just
doing?
want to know if you guys think that 2020 election was real.
Yes,
yeah, I
it was.
do.
Of
Yeah, I
course
do.
it was real.
Everybody knows it was real.
No,
Of course it was real.
81 million votes for that guy.
What is your
I'm
actual
sure that
81
happened.
million
Was it
votes
real? What is
against
your
Trump.
what is your
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
evidence that it's not real?
Not being a huge retard is my evidence. Are you
No, no,
fucking
no, no, no.
kidding
Wait,
me?
wait.
Oh,
I
there
object.
was-
I
There's
object.
no
My
cheating at
threshold
all.
is
This is all
definitely a huge
legit. All these
retard.
millions of people are totally just obeying the law. Then the
My
next day they go back to
threshold-
stealing bikes.
Your personal feelings don't matter to me. I'm asking you, what is your actual evidence that there was massive voter fraud? Actual
Not being a
evidence.
huge retard. That's my evidence.
So you have none.
Do you need? What do you want me to do? Oh,
to
hey
establish-
FBI, can I get some of that evidence that you guys stole the election?
Okay, so if Joe Biden stays the nominee and he loses in November, and then he goes to court in all 7 swing states and he fails to establish fraud in every single case that he does, which are dozens of court cases, they all get thrown out. And let's say he asks Kamala Harris to accept false slates of electors, and she does. And she says, you know what? I'm going to certify these. Are you going to be okay with that?
Well, that's illegal now.
It is the exact
wait,
same
wait.
situation.
Are you talking about fake electors now? I'm talking about just straight ballot fraud.
These are all interlinked. He made different cases in different states alleging different kinds of fraud. He never established fraud in a single case. So, like,
Pick one.
For you to just say, like, any of them, literally, there were over 60 cases, and none of them came back and told him you have demonstrated. Number one, many of them were dismissed on standing, which means he couldn't even establish harm. He couldn't even establish that a party was harmed.
Oh, that's crazy. The court said he didn't do
of...
anything wrong? Oh, man. I totally believe it.
They were his own judges in many cases. People he put on there.
Yes, his own Supreme Court even. I mean, like, what is your actual evidence that there was widespread voter fraud?
Just like having my eyes open and looking at like how voting is done.
It's just a vibe, Hutch.
Look, when you're just mailing ballots around,
Okay.
then these are not just total bullshit. Like, okay, man, what are you? Well, how much more looking into it do you want people to do?
None.
I mean, it would be one thing if you pointed to a bunch of people looking into something and they came back with evidence, but that didn't happen. And now you're just saying like, well, I have a brain, and so obviously I know that it happened.
Yeah,
it's such a difficult position right now.
Sending ballots through the mail is obviously bullshit.
I feel like I've been in this spot so many times.
How about an audit?
Hold on a second.
How about one audit? One audit.
They did audits. They did vote audits.
They did recounts.
A recount is more extensive than an audit. An audit is when you look at like 10,000 votes or whatever, and then you extrapolate from that. A recount is a total recount.
A recount is not an audit.
Is not an audit. Yeah.
A recount.
Because I remember this news cycle being huge. Yeah.
Trump.
Recounting is just recounting all the same ballots.
What was it? New Mexico? Where did
I mean, we can get into that stupid elector
or whatever
shit,
they were, cyber ninjas to look into it.
It's obvious that the machines are bogus. There's none of it's tracked. You wouldn't trust a bank with the kind of bullshit Dominion hardware that they're using. It's obviously bullshit.
They audited it. They audited
around
it.
Is
Trump
obviously stupid.
There was the whole thing about the bamboo ballots. They found that wasn't true. There was the whole thing about the corrupt machines. That wasn't true. This was the
machines
team
that track nothing, Woody.
The team that Trump hired came back and said Trump was wrong. What more do you want?
It netted Biden more votes. He ended up with more votes in Arizona after the audit. So, I'm sorry, but if you're going to allege, like, I don't know, I think it's kind of serious to cast doubt on elections to the extent that millions of Americans like literally lose faith in the democratic process. That's a really bad road to go down for obvious reasons. And you just need more than just like, oh, I have common sense. Like,
didn't you just to be fair, like you said, Trump was like a Russian stooge for like years, and that the 2016 one wasn't legitimate.
Wait a second. I never said that votes were altered in 2016. I made a video that I got so much shit for the next day and told my audience, stop saying Trump is not your president. He got elected. This is reality, and we should learn from this moment and move on. I never said
that. But you're saying that casting doubt is dangerous, and that's what you did for a long time, right? By saying that it was Russian.
Not in the electoral process, just in the morals and the fact that Putin might have on him. Come on, let's be fair. It's not what he's saying.
I never casted
and we
doubt
all
on the
know
process
Trump
of
lost.
like counting votes. What happened in 2016 is Trump got up there. Like, let me just ask you, if Hillary Clinton in 2016 would have gotten up there and said, hey, Iran, can you look for Trump's emails? And I'm sure the press will reward you mightily. And then
I'm cool with that.
I'm cool with that.
That's cool.
I'm saying you guys would have been like, okay, this is fucking bullshit. But that's different.
No, I like that. No, if it went the other way, if Joe Biden was like, hey, Venezuela, I know y'all have a team that's in the know. If you find any of those Trump PP tapes,
would lose their mind if he did that. They would absolutely.
I don't care what they think,
which is why lefties lost their shit in 2016.
I want the truth. And if it comes from Russia or Iran or China, if they've got some truth to share, who are we to say, shut up, China, don't talk bad about Joe Biden? Like, no, tell me, what happened? Where's
you guys think those Dominion machines are good with no audits?
Every
man.
party,
No-
every party's
no paper
voters
trail
that
at all?
every party's voters that lose elections, every single time they say the fucking voting machines were fucked up. It happens literally every single. It happened in 2000, 2004, 2000. It's the same thing.
Why
every
why
year.
do we use like digital machines?
Yeah.
Why don't we
how
just
come
use
those?
like paper like
Paper.
most countries?
I think
or
we
like
should.
or like audit the
Don't we have
security system.
150 million pieces of paper to count?
Oh
That a
man, if only
machine
we were
will
the most, if
count.
only we were the most powerful country to ever exist. We could handle
We can't
that.
count. How can we recount then?
I mean,
I
to be
based
fair,
my
I
opinion
machine
completely on a
does the
YouTube
reading.
video I saw, and it
I
should
would
be
be fine
paper.
with them getting rid of voting machines, but it would take a lot longer to count. And the last time we had an election, people flipped out because they were still counting votes. 3 days later, you had Donald Trump simultaneously telling some states to stop counting and then telling other states to continue counting. Like the whole thing was absurd.
He knows how to win.
Absolutely absurd.
So how many
I
of
mean,
the
how
votes
long-
were
how long-
bogus? How many of the votes in the last election were bad? 1%, 2%?
No,
How many?
bro. It like 0.00001% is what they
There's
found
that being
when they did these
retarded again. All the votes were
Show
good.
me your
Are you
evidence.
insane?
What is your actual evidence beyond use your brain?
Have you ever voted? You just go there, say whatever you want, and then go in there. Yeah, here you go. There's my vote.
They give you
You
a
hand it
ballot
to
when
the
you
dumbest
register
people
to
you'll ever
vote.
meet.
So you have no evidence, to be clear.
I see my neighbor there every time.
You handed to
There's
the
no
dumbest
evidence
people
any of it
you've
is
ever-
secure. You
He's
actually
one of the
have to
people.
prove a chain of
He's
like
nice.
provenance to do anything else except vote. To do anything
All right,
else.
all
you
right,
gotta
all right.
prove
We've been arguing about whether the election was stolen or not for a while now, and I think we all can all agree. that
And
Dick
I've
is
got
right.
bits and pieces of it from my
And-
end. Like, it's just yeah,
I wanna
Hutch will
talk
be about
about
to
this
like.
election.
It was so funny. Like Hutch was about to launch into something, and I'm like, oh, I'm interested in what he has to say here. And he's like, and the thing is, for fucking 2 minutes. I'm like, well, I guess
Good shit.
true.